You've already given yourself up. You went to the Overlook before you went down Cadillac. So you didn't get to the rocks. You got to the sexy part with your girlfriend. And, oh, you bougie.
You know that smell when you like hold a piece of metal up to a bench grinder rock? Well, the same smell happens when you drag like skid plates over rocks.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, the Dirt Drive Podcast. This week, we are spinning the wheel of Dirt Nerd, and we are in your favorite or least favorite city. We are in Washington, D.C. Jed from Backroads, Appalachia, do you want to tell us why we're in D.C.?
Sure thing. So we're here for the SEMA and PRI rally. So we came up here today with a bunch of other industry professionals, and we met with various legislators in the Congress and the Senate side, and got to spread the message of motorsports and what it does for this country economically. And we're just super stoked to be here, and it's been a really good time. We've got to meet a lot of cool folks, and got some cool folks sitting around this table right now.
I would say we do have some cool folks. Senator Mark Maynard, official gearhead, a wonderful guy to have representing us over in West Virginia, and excited to have him here at the table with us. How awesome is it to be in Washington, D.C., sir?
This is a great event, Tom. Thank you for the kudos, and thank you for choosing West Virginia to bring some of your events to. And just a great event all around, and I'm only happy when I'm around people like this that understand me. So thanks so much, and appreciate you guys putting us on here.
Yeah, thanks for the invite and taking the time to meet with us. It's pretty local for us. It was like a 40-minute drive-ish to get out here.
Jealous.
Yeah. It's still, we were talking about driving up here. Like, I haven't been in D.C. in, 6 months. It's 30, 40 minutes away, and I'd never come out here. Is
that on purpose?
Partly.
Okay.
No, I lived much closer to the city when I moved here younger, and I like my life out in rural Northern Virginia, if you can believe that.
I can understand.
And spend my weekends in West Virginia on trails and hanging out, camping, whatnot, hanging out with Jed. So
I had to valet my XJ. I think it's the first time probably an XJ's ever been valeted.
You put your XJ in?
Yeah, that's awesome.
3-inch lift and 31s, I think, right?
Did it fit in the parking garage?
You had to take the cooler off the rack.
Yeah. That's the number one question we get at the shop is like, oh, I gotta park in the garage in DC. Can you build my Jeep to only be 6'5"? I'm like, yeah, I guess we can try.
Find a different garage.
Yeah, that's usually what I say. Right. Yeah,
that seems like the logical choice to me. Just find a different garage, or as you've done, avoid coming to DC for whatever reason. I don't know, guys. I think DC certainly doesn't always fit into all of our lives, but I think this particular week, I think there was a lot of good done. I think it was great to make the connections. I think it's great to put all of our dirt lives in front of these people and let them see what the real impact of that is, and their constituents, their businesses, what that does to drive revenue in various states. One of the friendliest states I've been to lately, and we're bringing 2 events there this year, is West Virginia.
Absolutely.
And for Senator Maynard to show up and talk about those kinds of things in front of people, I hope it sets a really great example for the rest of the country, because we want to have dirt events. We want to be off-roading everywhere.
Yep.
And from our perspective, as a board member at Tread Lightly and a person that puts on off-road events all around the country, man, this land use stuff and our right to be out on public lands, I think the word public still means something, and recreate as we've chosen. It's just fantastic, and I'm really glad to have a chance to talk to the folks in Washington about that.
Yeah, one of the things that I kept bringing up in all of our meetings was, West Virginia could be the next Utah.
100%.
It is the next Utah. Appalachia in general, we have more miles of unpaved roads, and especially West Virginia. I made a map that you guys may have seen a couple months ago, and actually was able to create a GPX file of that map, and it's like 200 megs, which is a big file for GPX. And I started filtering out, and I started looking at the mileage, because the software I'm using will calculate all that, and then I compared it to the paved miles of road, and I was really just astonished to see how many miles of unpaved we have in West Virginia. And you could spend a lifetime.
Yeah.
I've said it before in this podcast. You could spend a lifetime. You know, it's an event producer's heaven. There's all kinds of fantastic venues. You know, there's roads, and there's great people.
Yeah.
And there's communities there that need us.
Yep.
You know?
I could see people trailering their rigs in droves from out west to come here, but we have to let them know about it.
Right.
We all know about places we can go ride now, but the world doesn't really know about it. So thank you, Jed, for bringing that to everyone's attention and letting people know about West Virginia.
It's my honor.
Yeah.
It's such a great point, too. It really is. Jed, I hope right now at this exact snapshot in time, I hope it doesn't turn out like Utah, because they're trying to shut a lot of things down.
Yeah.
And I think with support from folks in West Virginia, maybe it could be better than Utah.
Yep.
And I love Utah. One of my favorite places to be. I know you guys have a little Moab trip coming up. It's wonderful. But the fact of the matter is it's under a lot of pressure, guys.
Yep.
And that's part of the reason that here we are in Washington, talk about those issues and make sure that doesn't continue.
Right.
Well, Tim and I were talking about driving in, where I almost feel like in the motorsports bubble where the off-roading community kind of gets forgotten, because it doesn't require a private park. It doesn't require a truck and a trailer. You know, you can just get in your Jeep that you drove to work and parked in the garage in DC, and you can leave on Friday and be in West Virginia in 2.5 hours. Mm-hmm. So why don't we get the help and the funding? Why, this is the easy way. My hometown, I grew up 2 miles from Englishtown Raceway Park, and that drag strip's been shut down, I think, almost 10 years now. So it's I grew up as a kid literally listening to the funny cars drive quarter mile, and then I could turn around and watch it on ESPN because of the TV delay. So it's nobody has that, or most people don't have that experience now in the racing world, so it's just as important to protect. But the access is currently in the off-road world. It's there, it's ready. We just have to tell people about it and get people to go and keep the land open, because it exists. There's nothing else that needs to get done other than just go use it and use it responsibly.
Yeah.
I think you hit on a good point, and that is the responsible use of it.
Yep.
And not to dwell on that too much, but the fact of the matter is, if we do a good job of using it responsibly, if we do a good job of all those things, it's going to be there for a long time. And part of the issue in Utah is that there has at various times been a bit of less than responsible use, but it's also that there's a political movement underway that does not currently exist in West Virginia, and the welcoming spirit of West Virginia is going to naturally drive some of that traffic to West Virginia, and I think that's probably a really good thing. And I'm a Michigan guy here, so just for clarity, I'm a Detroit guy.
Yeah.
But it's pretty remarkable when you see that. And in Detroit, in cooperation with the Department of Natural Resources, the county in which it resides, and lots of other great folks, we have an off-road park in a depleted sand and gravel mine that is an example of taking some eyesore, which is about the only way you can describe that, and turning it into a regional recreation opportunity. And we think that that's a great lead into many more things. And we have people from around the country on the political side that come out and see it. We'll see if they take action on that.
Yeah, good example of what can be done and how to do it.
I always like to turn a negative into a positive, so that's great. Funny you mentioned Englishtown. I used to work on a NHRA Nitro funny car there at Jim Heads, and did bottom end cylinder heads there at Englishtown. I was actually there at the race when Scott Coletta got killed. We were number one qualifier.
I vaguely remember that.
That kind of put a nail in the coffin of Englishtown. Yeah. Sad day.
Wow. Yes, sadly, those things can dramatically impact what happens.
Right.
All of us that have been racers, understand what we signed up for, the minute you strap a helmet on, that's a possibility. And we do it because of a dear love for that thrill and what that means to us. But nonetheless, there's risk. There's also risk walking out onto Mass Ave out here and trying to cross the street. So
I would argue I almost wrecked my little Honda Civic more times in the last hour than I've ever almost wrecked a Jeep on a trail. And I've done some sketchy things in some Jeeps, so
that's awesome. And right, you pick how you want to live your life.
Yeah,
do you want to be
exactly.
in a bubble, or do you want to enjoy some of the finer things
Yep.
in life?
So how did you guys get into motorsports? What's y'all start?
So my dad had a Union 76 service station, and he got in an off-road, like four-wheel drive club about 1975. And so I didn't have a choice. I went out. They had weekly club meetings and then weekly rides every week. So I came by it naturally. Then he started sand drag racing, and he had a car lot and a salvage yard, and he wrenched on cars at his 76 service station. So I grew up in it and, passionately followed all motorsports, off-roading through the years. And when I ran for Senate, I didn't think about being able to take my passion and fight for it. I was aware of the lane closure. I was aware of the strict regulations that were, trying to snuff out motorsports. But after I was in there about a year, I was like, hey, I can fight for this. So it's been so great to use my position to fight for what I love, my passion, and help others.
And help us, you have done.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, I never thought, that I'd ever see drifting or racing on public roads in West Virginia.
Yeah, well, we're
Ever.
bringing it. Here it comes.
Literally, I love, like, I'm a car guy first. The off-road world is just kind of where I've fallen into, but like the drift event that you guys are doing, like, that's just like the teenage car guy in me is just like, oh, that's a dream. I'm like I almost went out and bought another BMW just to go to the event.
Right.
Like, and then my wife reminded me I have like 3 other projects I got to finish first.
You just wait until August when you see Hillfest at
Yeah,
Snowshoe.
I know. I may try and make it out for Hillfest to at least spectate and hang out because, like,
We'll guilt you into it. Don't worry.
Well, you should just come up there and record.
Yeah,
you can do
might.
some cool interviews there.
yeah,
Content.
Yeah.
It's all about the content.
It's everything is content these days.
It's funny you mentioned about being a teenager, and you ask a pointed question about how did you end up in motorsports. I've heard rumors about other people. I would never have done it, of course, but I've heard rumors about other people that may have exceeded the posted speed limit
Never.
on some of these hilly mountain roads and done some twisty stuff. But unlike Mark's upbringing, which is fantastic, my parents viewed an automobile as an appliance that got them from here over to there. They looked at motorcycles as two-wheel danger, and somehow when a neighbor got one and my cousins got one, I was all in, and 3 years later I was racing motorcycles and off we went. And honestly, my off-roading experiences started because we wanted to go to these cool places to ride our dirt bikes, and we had to get in down these trails to get there. And so I learned how to drive off-road kind of by accident, I guess carefully initially, because we had a load of dirt bikes in the back of the pickup truck, and that's where that kind of began.
Well, that's really where a lot of the overlanding has started, is you see all these people that go hunting and go fishing and dirt biking and mountain biking, and what are they doing? They're overlanding, but they're bringing something else to recreate with. That's another way I look at overlanding, is it's a means to access, and it's a means to be in that area for a long time. And I think that's why it's taking off so big in these areas like it is, just because it gets you to those places that you want to experience.
It's exactly right. I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, well, no, I'm not an off-roader or anything. I don't care about any of that. I'm a hunter or a fisherman or whatever. I'm like, do you ride your ATV or your side-by-side into where you go? Well, yeah, of course, you got to have that. And I'm like, oh, well, that's not going off-roading. You're not recreating, motorized recreation off-road. And they certainly are. And then they think about it. They're like, well, yeah, I'm definitely into that.
And what happens when the government shuts down your favorite road to your favorite hunting spot and you can't ride your ATV there anymore?
Exactly.
Like, it's not just the guys with the Jeeps and the Toyotas and
It
going
affects
out.
everybody.
Yeah, it's literally anybody who does anything outdoor. Like, it's with the Moab trip, I've been researching the trails and the roads and stuff that we're going to go hit. And there's tons of articles and YouTube videos and everything out there that talk about, like, oh, this road is a great access to this hiking trail, but I couldn't get my Toyota Camry there. And it's like, well, yeah, if you actually thought about it, like, if you want to go hike that, you can go buy a 4-wheel drive vehicle that's got high clearance. You don't necessarily have to lift it or do anything crazy, but you just go out and enjoy the roads. Like, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of it out there.
I want to tell you all a point that Jason Speck brought up to me. What's the name of his company?
Mountain State Overland.
Mountain State Overland.
Yep.
He said when individuals that aren't familiar with what we are hear the words off-highway vehicle or off-road, they literally think you are going down the side of the hill between trees where there's no roads or anything.
Right.
And so he was the one that coined the term adventure travel. And so we changed our day from off-highway vehicle day or whatever to capital to adventure travel day. So it's adventure travel day, whether you're doing hardcore wheeling like we know, or going somewhere to just get to your rock climbing obstacle or whatever. So keep that in mind when we're talking to people that aren't familiar with what we know, that when they hear those words, it's a no-brainer for us, but they may see something different. So
yeah, that's a point that I actually make, is because the overlanding word has a weird stigma to it, where you're snooty, you're buying all the fancy new equipment. So I mean, it is. That's what overlanding is. Not overlanding, but that's the stigma attached to it for the rock crawling guys, at least. Yeah. So I like to call it adventure travel or adventure wheeling. Mm-hmm. What are you doing? I'm going adventure wheeling. Oh, what's that? Well, I'm overlanding. It's just I take what I have. I don't have a rooftop tent. I've got 33s, no lockers. Like, I'm just driving through the woods with my buddies, having a good time, getting to a fun spot to camp, and then doing it again.
Right. And that's, I think I've said this before. My dad always told me about the good old days. He's 63, and it was very common for them to go out and ride these back dirt roads that now have gates on them. And they were overlanding technically back then. They didn't call it that. They were just out having a good time and being with their community.
Yeah. I know we got a little bit off, but you guys were talking about the two events, the Hill Fest, and what was the other event?
West Virginia 4Fest.
4Fest, yeah.
We put on 4Fest events in various parts of the country. That started in Detroit at our off-road park, Holly Oaks ORV Park there. And it sort of expanded. And we ended up in West Virginia this year with a couple of events, largely because of folks like Senator Maynard, others that came to SEMA last year and gave us this warm welcome. Yeah, come on to visit us in West Virginia. We hear this pretty often. And honestly, we didn't realize just what that warm welcome was going to be like. Then you end up in touch with guys like Jedediah and Eric Hubbard and others, and you think, holy smokes, how can we not go to West Virginia? This is meant to be. And then with some assistance, we end up shutting down a state highway so that we can have time trial racing up the state highway, and obviously that's near and dear to my heart. As I said, I've heard about other young folks that have done that in their youth, of course, without perhaps proper police authority.
Obviously, nobody at the table here. But
no, nobody that's here.
No, it's I mean, it's. I think what you guys are doing in West Virginia is huge. It's such a. I mean, Tim and I did an entire episode on it after the Motorsports Day. It's such a lost, and I hate using the word bubble again, but like the East Coast is just. It's like, oh, it's just not a car town, right? Everything's California, everything's the desert, everything goes on out west. And like, as a kid, that's all I wanted to do was go west and do car stuff. And I grew up in New Jersey, so I'm an East Coast guy.
Well, and the East Coast is blossoming. We just had Hurt and T-Pain move to Atlanta, Georgia to start Nappy Boy Automotive. They were at Drift Appalachia with Nappy Boy. I know Hurt had his car out there. We are quickly becoming a hub of motorsports.
Well, it's become the friendly place for it. It's not, it's you're not even going to be able to have an internal combustion engine in California soon at the rate things are going. So like, that's going to kill an industry if it hasn't already.
What a great point about going where you're welcomed.
Right.
It's like even if we walked back downstairs and walked into a place and it felt hostile the minute we walked in, would you stay? No, of course you wouldn't. You'd go, this is not the place for me. Car people, gearhead knuckleheads like us, if we don't feel welcomed, we'll find someplace where we are welcomed.
Yep.
At this exact snapshot in time, as I said earlier, feel pretty darn welcome in West Virginia, and that's a pretty fun place to go do some wheeling. And Jed led me astray a few weeks ago when I had to have my vehicle all cleaned up for Motorsports Day, in the capital and somehow led me astray and ended up with $40 spent at the quarter car wash trying to get the mud off. So that's Jed's fault.
I was going to say, this far east, $40 at the car wash is barely enough to rinse it off. Add that to the list of reasons to go to West Virginia. The car washes are only a quarter.
Yeah. Yep.
I think the minimum at the car wash by my shop is like $8, and that gets you 5 minutes.
My minimum's like $2 in the house, and it's 8 minutes.
I went to drive 5 hours just to wash my Jeep.
Yeah. Yep. That's funny. We talking about getting you all muddy and stuff, and people talk about out west and how difficult the terrain is. Granted, it is, especially for rock crawling. But the thing that the East Coast presents for us is we have rocks, we have mud, and we have rocks and mud together.
Yep.
And you mix that, and trees, and roots.
Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
And we even have sand in some places, So the East Coast and West Virginia, Appalachia in general, has such a variety of terrain to offer, especially for manufacturers that want to do research and development, tire companies that want to, develop new tires to put out to the public and actually prove them. Appalachia has a lot to offer for those folks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's the Appalachia area is just like I lived in Pennsylvania for a while. The Blue Ridge, driving through the Blue Ridge Mountains. Like I took 64 to Motorsports Day. Like it's such a unique scenery. Even people I met when I lived in Colorado for a while were just like, "Oh, you're from the East Coast, like." You guys have like that fall foliage is just phenomenal, and I'm like, yeah, and I didn't quite get it because I just grew up with it, and
we take it for granted.
Yeah, and then when
we all do.
When the Colorado summer went from 95 degrees to -10 in like 3 weeks, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. I get why you guys are surprised by this climate thing. Like it's either hot or cold. That's it.
Right.
And we're enamored, like when we go west to see the big mountains, snow-capped mountains,
snow
with
year
no trees
round.
on them. But see, they're so used to that, and they come here and they're enamored by our terrain.
Yep.
So
I think the common thread between all these conversations we're having right now is there's beautiful places everywhere in the world, and we all should go and explore them.
Absolutely.
And do it responsibly.
Yeah.
That
sums it up.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, drop the mic.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll just edit out the rest of it. That's the whole episode.
That is the wisest words. And explore is such a critical element. I'm older than you guys are, so my exploration has been a really long time in the making. But go explore.
Yeah.
Go find cool stuff.
Yep.
And you'll be amazed at what that adventure leads you to and how good that is for your soul.
Yeah.
And get out of the city and go do some cool things. It's what I tried to tell my kids. Be free range kids.
Yeah.
They're grown now and they're in the industry or whatever, but it's interesting to watch how that unfolds. But yeah, get out and adventure.
Yeah. I mean, it's like as younger me that was into BMWs and drift cars and all the road racing and stuff, I realized pretty quick that you don't get the adventure to go there. You're going and you're spending the weekend racing. And it was, my first car was a Jeep. I lived in Colorado, actually just across the border from Moab. And my weekend was spent exploring and going out. And it's like, wait, this is way easier to do. There's no track cost. It's, I don't have to worry about crashing and hurting myself. It's a 10 mile an hour, me and the dog in the truck and just having a good day. And that's the draw to this is the adventure, the unknown. The unknown. Like, I've been to Moab and Colorado and everything else. And all the guys that were going on this trip in 2 weeks have never been there. So like I've become the trail guide accidentally.
Oh, you're taking new people.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. It's great when they get a load of that because the jaws drop and they just wonder.
And some of them know it because we did SEMA 22. Yep. We took the long way home through Moab driving, and there's a John Brown Canyon connects Gateway, Colorado to Moab through the LaSalle Mountains. It's like 26 miles off road. And I used to work at the Gateway Auto Museum, lived in Gateway, everything. So we took that ride home. So two of the guys that are going have seen it, but they've never wheeled in Moab and all the other stuff. And it's like, we're gonna hop off 70 in Grand Junction and take Backroads into Moab because after 24 hours on the interstate, I'm going to be bored of it, and everybody else has to do dirt because that's what I said.
Yeah, I'm a fan of every state.
Yeah.
But man, crossing Iowa and Nebraska.
Oh, it's the worst.
Ours
Kansas, Well, Arkansas was just weird. Arkansas was weird. I-40 on Arkansas was just it was 3 a.m. It was a little weird.
There was a juggalo.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
There was a juggalo.
Yeah, it was a 3 a.m. rest stop guy with clown makeup on in the bathroom. It was very odd. It's on a previous episode. Our listeners know it.
Okay, that's super creepy.
But yeah, it's like when we're doing 70. So Kansas is for me the hardest. It's 700 miles in a straight line, and all you see are the
Eastern
windmills.
Kansas.
Yeah,
Western Kansas gets kind of
yeah. At night, it's no fun because it's just the red blinking lights from the windmills.
Yep, a lot of that.
So we'll be in Kansas in the dark, which will be disappointing. But
yeah, I'm excited because I missed the drive home from SEMA. I got married
that week.
So was that planned or just something you decided? Oh, okay. I didn't understand.
We dropped them off at the airport in Vegas, and then the rest of us had a nice scenic drive home.
Yeah, I got married that Friday.
Yeah. You were the three of us that were still in the car were in your wedding, so he was very concerned we weren't going to make it back.
I just needed to get home to be a good partner to my wife.
Yeah.
That's
should have flown her to Vegas and got married in Vegas.
I tried it. So we were at another show earlier that year, and I'm like, we were staying in the Palazzo, and I'm like, there is an AC/DC chapel here. Let's get married here.
Knowing Mackenzie, that was a
She was
hard.
that was a hard no. She wasn't about
that
it.
was a hard no.
That wasn't going to be an option. The AC/DC chapel, no.
Maybe the Elvis, maybe.
I don't think that would have been an option in my life either. It was bad enough. My wife threatened me before we got married. I was very actively racing motocross at that point, and we had a practice race on Wednesday. I got married on a Friday. We had a practice race on Wednesday. She said, if you are in a cast for our wedding, there may not be one.
Yeah.
So I think I understand. And I wasn't. So it all turned out fine. And here we are 30 years later, and it's great. So that's one of those funny getting married stories.
So how often do you guys get to go out and actually participate in motorsports these days with your day jobs? Do you guys actually still get out and go have fun in the woods and on the roads and bombing around doing that stuff?
It's tough for me. I'm limited to 3 or 4 days a week. I try to make it 7, but it doesn't work out. But 3 or 4 days a week, I'm usually pretty good at getting out, having access to the park, doing corporate projects for the park. It's all good. Yeah. Hey, look who's here to join us.
Yes, popping in.
Cole.
Dave Cole.
Speaking of legends and
King of the Hammers, there he is.
Yeah. I'm not worthy.
Making sure you're hydrated. Would you like a whiskey?
I'm good, thanks.
All right. Yes. Sorry, I don't know why I'm here.
It's okay.
Dave, jump on in here. You can take my mic, and I'm going to get going to Detroit.
I was going to say, you have a lot of travel going
perfect.
on, so.
I do.
That's perfect timing.
Yeah, you can trade out. Jump on in here,
We're
brother.
on the motorsports conversation.
What a great thing to swap out with Dave Cole.
Yeah.
And while we're doing this transition, I can talk about my wheeling adventures. So my go-to rig is a 98 ZJ Cherokee.
My man.
35s, lockers, 6-inch. It's mild, but it's very capable. I took the sway bars off, threw them over the side of the hill at the garage.
Yep.
And so, take care, Tom. And so sometimes it would sit for too long and I wouldn't wheel it. Well, I've got a buddy that works on the barge, 30 on, 30 off. So we made a pact. Every other month, when you're in, we will ride. So we figure out the day that he's in, and we ride once every other month. So I really ride 6 times a year, which isn't that much, but I try to, it's better than I have been doing. And which, as far as other motorsports events goes, I try to soak up it all. I was down with Jed at the Drift Appalachia, so now I'm wanting to build a drift car.
Yep.
I've already got I already had the project in stock. It was a little compressor 4-door Mercedes, I think, 190 with a bad engine.
Yep.
And I've got a big block Chevy and a tunnel ram, and I think that would just be like the perfect drift car.
You might confuse some of the drift guys with a tunnel ram and a big block.
Well, but that big block up front would be such a great counterbalance and make the back end so light, and it would be like great oversteer.
It's gonna sound great. Yeah. More importantly, I feel like that's, I guess, probably rule number 2 of drifting is it's got to sound good, right?
Put zoomies through the hood, right?
Yeah, it's come on. If you need help building that,
okay. Yeah. So, and I've got a no prep Monte Carlo that I drove to college years ago, And it's a mild 355, but I got 2 stages of nitrous on it, 3,500 stall.
It's mild. It's mild.
And so I'm a kind of a fan of no prep. I like heads up racing.
Yep.
And but anything, I think if I won the lottery, I'd go out and buy
Everything.
a monster truck. That'd be my first purchase.
Okay. Yeah, I mean it's hard to deny the horsepower, right?
Oh yeah.
So
welcome to the table.
yeah, welcome to the table. If everybody missed it, Dave Cole from King of the Hammers and Ultra 4 Racing has joined us.
You guys can't see it, but I'm on my knees bowing to him right now.
That's not happening. I appreciate you, Senator, very much. No, great. Sorry for barging in.
No, not at all. This is probably the most sober podcast we've done in a long time, to be honest. Usually it's just us in my basement and, the 12 pack and my wife yelling at me after 4 hours of not helping with the baby. So
I promised to show up at your shop, so we're going to come down.
Okay.
I'll be down in Virginia sometime, probably within the next month or so.
Okay. Well, that'd be great.
We're going to be having to do a visit out this way.
Yeah. It's we just moved into our new facility last week, literally.
on.
So it's hopefully we'll
Congrats,
be done by
dude.
then. Yeah, thank you.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah. We went from 1,200 square feet to 4,000 square feet.
Right on.
Finally started doing some fun builds. Got a bunch of fabrication stuff to go with it. Mill, lathe, CNC,
Nice.
plasma. So we'll actually be able to start doing some stuff that isn't just JKs and JLs. Is the goal. Might actually finish my YJ one day.
Nice.
Maybe. But
That's so cool because AK and I were talking as we were walking over, and he was saying, "Man, like we need more shops. We need more proper shops." And
yeah, I mean,
he was giving an applause for you guys and what you're doing, man, and expansion and stuff. It's awesome.
yeah. I feel like, I mean, we've been in business now going on 5 years, and like I see this push in the off-road world that's really kind of bringing in literally everybody. It's all the SEMA data tells you off-road and truck is where everything is, and the growth of King of the Hammers and everything else that's going on in the off-road world really puts the spotlight on us, right? And so we get it often. We got the motorsport shop or the import shop does some work and something goes wrong and we're the ones fixing it. Like it is more specialized than I think people realize. I think the early days of put the biggest leaf spring and biggest tire available on your truck and go out and bounce around.
People become more sophisticated.
Yeah. Right.
They realize that a roll cage isn't 3-4 inch tubes that are chrome. I mean, it's not a knock. I mean,
Exactly.
I'd rock the Fall Guy truck, but that's not a roll cage, and you learn the efficiency of what performance. People start looking to performance as opposed to appearance, and that's another transformation. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That I got a rude awakening. This is how I get very. This is why people hate me, sir. I went to Jeep Beach.
Okay.
I saw a stock JL. That was the most performance-oriented vehicle I saw.
Yep.
But it was obviously cool. I mean, I loved it. I mean, now I can't go back, I guess, but I mean, I really enjoyed it. It was just different. It's a whole different culture.
I've been told I'm a bad business owner because I won't sell people Dana 60s and long arms. It's like, what do you want to do with your Jeep? Oh, we'll just go run fire roads. Cool. Why are you here? Well, I need 35s. No, you don't. You have a Rubicon. It's got 33s. It's got all terrains. It's got lockers.
You're good.
It's more capable than anything else in my parking lot right now.
Go have fun with that.
Yeah, when you break it, call me.
When you decide a different way or a better way to go, then come back. I'll do that for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's not just go.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I got a question for you. If you build cars, I've never done this, so I'll ask you a question.
Yeah, go for it.
What one vehicle modification to any car that you can think of is the one you don't want to do again? And the reason why?
I can only pick one.
You can pick one. I'll give you mine to give you, because I thought of mine right off the bat.
Okay.
Cutting through the frame of an 86 Toyota with a hole saw so you can do a solid axle swap. With a hole saw.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun.
It's like honeycombed in there with like 19 different layers.
Yeah.
And they put the really hard stuff, like the hardest steel in the world is in the center of the Toyota frame.
The
positive of that.
So that's why the Hilux is the preferred truck of
everywhere else in the world.
Cancel, man.
Yeah, that's all right.
Senator, come on.
Yeah. Hey man, we're in DC. There's certain buzzwords you can't say out loud.
Hold on, gentlemen.
They're on their way right now.
There's a reason why.
Yeah, I don't know if I've actually had to do that. I mean, I also own a plasma cutter, so that
I did this before plasma cutters.
fair point. I would say
I got to go back to the bar.
No. This is perfect. This is I have an LB7 Duramax as my tow rig, and I absolutely hate working on diesels. It's just the worst thing ever.
I think the good Lord puts people on this earth to work on those rigs because I want to be able to see the valve covers on the vehicle I'm working on. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. And I had paid somebody to do the LB7s have the bad injector thing from Bosch. They have to replace them every time. And we'd done the injectors, and we were still having this fueling issue. And the suggestion was put in what they call the race valve on the fuel pressure regulator. So essentially there's like a 30,000 PSI blow-off valve on the fuel rail for the high-pressure pump. The pump isn't capable of more than 25,000 PSI. So why they put a 30,000 PSI blow-off on it, nobody will know, but the spring goes bad, and then you end up clogging up your high-pressure fuel lines. So they sell literally, it's just like an aluminum machine slug that bolts into it, and it's two like T10 Torx head screws in the valley of the V8 underneath 5 things. I used a 6mm ratchet wrench on a screwdriver bit blind with a mirror to take out these 2 little screws just to replace that valve.
Fun.
And it's a $20 part. That I will never do again. I don't care if it costs me $1,000 to get it. I will pay somebody. It's the only thing I pay people to do is work on my truck. That's it. I do everything else myself. I can't stand going to another shop. I will pay somebody to work on my truck, which is also why I'm thinking about selling it. Tim and I talked about that earlier. Breaking news.
I don't know if this question is applicable to everyone at the
Let's
table,
hear it.
but
Let's go.
I welded up a 26 spline, 7.5-inch differential in the back of my Monte Carlo, spraying nitrous, slicks to track, maybe on the street. And I didn't have C-clip eliminators, so the axle exited.
Disappeared.
On 10-inch welds with slicks and stuff. So, but I had years of fun with it before that happened. So I don't know really if I would do it again or not.
Yeah.
I probably would do it and then make one less run with it.
Have you ever met Senator Mullins from Oklahoma?
I have.
He's a huge gearhead. I met him today.
Yeah,
that was one of the benefits of doing today.
Yeah,
everybody
so
kind of
cool.
we kind of glued together.
Yeah,
right?
he's a true gearhead. I was glad to see.
You were sitting. Sorry, you were sitting there for lunch with us. I apologize, sir. His speech was impactful.
It was. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry about that. I was just thinking that you could do a hell of a show if you got all our legislators that are here talking about if they're into cars, passionately about the cars. That would be a cool.
Yeah.
That would be a cool conversation.
You should tell us, I'm not trying to run your show here, but you should tell us about your history and how you got involved. Tell us, because it's very interesting. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
I've been around for a second. I founded King of the Hammers in 2007 as the end, kind of going right to the end punchline of it. But I just like being in the dirt. I grew up in Jersey. I went to California in '99, and me and my kids' mom got divorced then, and I didn't want to be the dad that was like playing video games every weekend, which then the video games was like in television, ColecoVision, or whatever we had. I don't remember.
Atari.
That's all right. We were 7,200 though. We went wheeling. I had a 4Runner. I had an IFS 4Runner that I bought, and we went wheeling and camping every weekend. And that was right about the time that professional rock crawling was becoming a thing. I know it started. I was not at the. Oh man, how could I draw a blank on this right now? It was in New Mexico. Las Cruces, New Mexico was the first professional rock crawling event. Then somewhere in there was Big Rich's event up north, and then there was a big race that ARCO, this is before UROC, before RCCA, before all the other ones, they had the rock crawling event. It was like Walker Evans was there, and John Curry was competing, and I was standing on the sidelines, and I'm looking around, and I'm like, well, these guys like rocks. and they're moving big rocks. And I had played tight end and center in football, and I was like 27 years old. I'm like, this is like better than playing softball. And so I decided that I was going to go rock crawling, like competitively, and we just were in the middle of it. And after I ended up building the car, we brought up my worst memory of a car. Also, I had a 7.3 IDI diesel that it used more oil than gas. The diesel, I'm pretty positive. And I drove it to my first car that I ever built. Wasn't finished. I drove it to Denver, Colorado, and I loaded in the back of Scott Ellinger's 2-car enclosed trailer, which was bougie back in the day, right? Yeah. If you have a friend with a diesel that works, that can tow 2-car trailer, and he has a 2-car enclosed trailer, you got good friends.
Yeah. So I've become that friend.
I drove the Denver Nationals that year. It was the first ever We Rock Nationals. It was 2005, and it was in Columbus, Ohio, and I rode across Kansas in the belly of below my truck, putting it together in Scott's trailer.
That's awesome.
And when I got there, and Larry Zager, I built the car to spot for it, and Larry Zager drove for me, and we finished 4th, even though we broke in the first day. Like,
sounds like a rock crawling event.
It was, yeah. It was difficult. When I got back, I found my IDI diesel. Turns out Colorado's colder than Southern California.
Yep, a little bit.
You think I would have known that? I lived in Michigan for a while back when I was a lad, but I'm like, yeah. Turns out this freeze plug thing, that was a great invention that actually works.
Yeah.
But when you pop a freeze plug in an IDI diesel, there's an oil galley there too, so you lose the antifreeze and the oil, which makes a great mix in your neighbor's yard.
Yeah, well,
it's not my neighbor. I wasn't from there, but man, Scott Ellinger's neighbor was mad. So I cleaned that up, and then we put the car back together, and I drove back to California, and that all happened in 4 days.
Well, isn't that the best race car? The race car that you build on the trailer and maintain on the trailer going to the event?
Yeah. The best race car is the one that falls apart 30 feet after the finish line. Anything more is over-engineered.
Sounds like my Cherokee.
No, after the finish line, not after the start line.
Listen, when I was coming down, what was that? It was Canyon with no power brakes because my vacuum line was screaming. Yeah. That counts. It's just not a competition.
Yeah. I did 4 events with no power brakes in the Cherokee, Chief.
Oh, it's frightening. Sketchy Cherokees are my favorite thing ever.
I wheeled the Hammers for 2 years with no rear shocks in my car.
Oh, you don't need those.
Yeah.
I was convinced. I mean, I was broke. So didn't take any convincing. I was just convincing myself that, it was leaf sprung. So I had dampening both directions. It was going to be okay.
Better articulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shocks are expensive. My YJ has no shocks, so I know exactly how you feel.
Back then, I had the stupidest idea that I was going to take 2 Rancho 9000 shocks, and I was going to take the exhaust collectors that I got at Pep Boys, and I was going to weld them together and create this, basically exactly what Maxim, what's his name, up at Metal Cloak. They built the shocks that they had the shaft come out both directions.
6-pack shocks.
The 6-pack.
Yeah.
I was trying to glue 2 Rancho 9000s together to make that. That was when I realized I couldn't weld, and welding on galvanized is a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And welding shocks that are charged and full of
I didn't weld the shocks. No, I was making an apparatus that was going to hold it all together.
Okay,
there was ratchet straps involved. Don't judge, man.
Love it. That's how we do it in Appalachia.
Oh yeah, it was zip ties. If you can't fix it with zip ties and a hammer, you're not fixing it.
My grandfather was the school teacher in Weston, West Virginia, when it was a mining town, and the only thing there was the mine.
Wow, that's cool.
And I've heard some wonderful stories about that. Not pretty rough stories, but makes you proud of my grandfather. But that's old. I spent a lot of time in West Virginia. It's beautiful country.
There's something else in Weston. The second largest sandstone structure in the world, right behind the Kremlin.
In Russia, the Kremlin?
Yeah, the Kremlin is the largest sandstone structure, and the lunatic asylum in Weston is the second largest.
Yes. Yeah. Yep.
So they're the same. Can I say that in Washington, D.C.? Am I allowed to say that one?
Did we drive by that in 24s? I feel like that's.
They had the haunted house thing there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, I read about the haunted house thing there. That would be one.
Is that the one that the Ultimate Adventure stopped at? Or was that in...
They could have.
I think Ultimate Adventure stopped there, but 24 Hours of Appalachia, no, y'all didn't go by that.
Yeah, I would have.
But that's in the future, though.
Pretty neat little fact about Weston.
Yeah.
I need to come back.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
If Jed hasn't told you, the 24-hour event that they do is a bear. Tim and I did it.
600 miles.
Yeah, it was...
Road or off-road?
Off-road.
All of it. Everything.
It was...
Every publicly available road service you can find in West Virginia was on that route.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that? Mm-hmm. When's the next one?
In July.
I'll be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Can I drive a Bronco? Obviously, right?
Yeah.
I'll bring my wife's Bronco.
Don't bring a Neon because the Neon didn't fare so well, right?
Oh, yeah.
The Neon finished.
The Gambler Boys
I saw
are...
a pretty bad picture of the Neon. Pretty submerged.
You know, it was a rental Neon and it had full insurance, which makes it's like a power up times 20.
Full lockers.
Jeremy Clarkson said it best: the world's fastest car is a car for hire.
Well, I've always gone with a rental car with full insurance.
Yeah, same thing.
Most capable vehicle on the planet.
Yep.
You can go anywhere.
Yep. We did our Moab, like, that we did from SEMA back a couple years ago. We did in the rental. Like, it was a Cherokee Trailhawk that we happened to get from Enterprise, just pure chance. And I was like, oh, this is the wrong car to give us to drive across the country and back in. But we did. I mean, we've got great videos. One of the guys that works at the shop, PJ, is waist deep in a snowdrift, taking a picture of the rental car on the top of the LaSalle Mountains, and it's like,
is that the reason why you get Neons all the time now?
No,
it's not a random draw, man.
No, that was the best part. Was it wasn't rented in my name; it was rented in our buddy Trevor's name, and he used to work. I made him return it, but like we did that like 30 miles of dirt, and then like halfway to Denver, the car just developed a wicked shake at like 60. And this thing had like 30,000 miles on it when we picked it up. And I was like, yeah, it's a brand new car. By the time we got through Denver, it was like we couldn't go over 75 to get home. We ran it through a car wash 6-7 times. I mean, our shop is right by Dulles Airport, so like we just dropped it off at the airport. The guy looked at it and went, yeah, you're good. And we're like, cool, sign the paperwork. Good luck. See you later.
We all have rental car stories, I'm sure. Yeah.
Dude, I had this rental Charger for like 6 months because during COVID, and you couldn't get parts, and I hit a deer with the wife's car, and I don't know why they thought this was a good idea, but apparently Enterprise rents track pack Chargers. Oof. Yeah, that was a good time. That was a really good time for 6 months.
Did you still have your license at the end of it?
I did. I didn't even get pulled over a single time.
He knows a couple people.
But I did find out. that thing has a gyrometer on it.
Oh yeah,
dude, 2 Gs, no problem.
Yeah. I believe that.
I'm going to try to make this really quick and tell 2 Jeep rental stories. So, to start with, I went to a Novak convention in Reno, and if you guys haven't participated, it was a great event, like 4 days long. Have you ever been to any Novak convention? Anyway.
No.
So I went to the airport after the convention was over. I had a flight back the next day, and I wanted to rent the cheapest thing and go up to Lake Tahoe. Well, the cheapest thing they had was a brand new Sahara JL Power Soft Top for $39.95 a day. Of course, this was BC, before COVID. And so I plotted my route. I plotted my route around. I'll go up on the hill to Lake Tahoe all the way around. Looked for any Jeep trails and didn't see anything. And so I asked a couple places.
Rubicon. Man.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a couple.
I found that out. So I stopped. I stopped at one little T-shirt shop and I said, "Is there any Jeep trails around here?" And she didn't know what I was talking about. Stopped at a snowboard shop and he said, "Well, we have the Rubicon Trail." And I was like, "No, I want something close by." He says, "It's 5 miles down the road." I'm like, "What?" I was like, "Show me." So I brought my GPS out. So I took this brand new. It had 4,000 miles on it. Sahara JL on the Rubicon Trail.
That's awesome.
At night.
This is beautiful.
At night.
That's why they have the badge.
Makes my soul happy.
They're rated.
It was at night. No cell phone signal. And nobody knew that me and my girlfriend were out there. So I didn't do the whole thing. But I wheeled enough of it to say that I did it. So
You didn't. No, you got to. You've already given yourself up. You went to the Overlook before you went down Cadillac. So you didn't get to the Rock.
Yeah,
you got
and
to the
you spent a
sexy
whole
part
night
with your
Rubicon
girlfriend.
Springs.
Oh, you bougie.
You know that smell when you like hold a piece of metal up to a bench grinder rock? Mm-hmm. Well, the same smell happens when you drag like skid plates over rocks.
That's what the skid plates are for. That's what they're for.
That's the intro clip right
Listen. If Fred and Dave can take stock trucks through the Rubicon, anybody can. Like it's
doable.
Yeah. That's how the trail was built, right? Like
It was a road. It wasn't a trail. It devolved to a trail.
It's a fair point.
Dude, that's what burns me up about people. They buy these freaking, like we were just talking about it. They buy a freaking Wrangler Rubicon. They're like, what do I do to it? And I'm like, freaking drive it.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Roll it over twice, then come talk to me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man.
Oops.
No, it's we are very much a pro get out there and do it. Like, you don't have to think about it. You just have to go out, find the dirt, no matter where it is. Just do it, have fun, do it safely.
Amazing amount of character that gets built when you realize that the way you got there isn't the way you're going to get back.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's a great point.
The amount of problem solving that you have to go through.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's beautiful.
Everything was going great, and then
until it wasn't.
And then the things that happen after that, and then are the things that are the greatest part of life.
Making memories.
It's the greatest part of life is what happens after the and then.
So true.
Getting to walk out of the woods with my wife 1 month postpartum, twice in a row actually, was a good time and very character building. And so now I don't play in the mud anymore.
Put them through college, bitch.
That's right.
Right, I did that.
Yeah.
I got my daughter's graduating in I don't know, like 8 days, 10 days, something like that.
Nice.
And then I have one more son to go. There's a freshman right now. So, whoa.
Yeah,
You have
really.
kids?
One daughter,
How old is she?
23.
All right, so you survived.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You get the trail rated badge too, right?
That's right.
Did you guys? So I guess I'm the only kidless one here. Did you guys pass down the motorsports gene to your kids?
I tried. Go ahead.
I will. Well, my son Bailey. I don't know if you guys know my son. My son races.
Never heard of him.
Okay. You know what? If you would have said I never heard of her, I would have high-fived you.
Dang it.
Because you must know, like back in the day, there was Bailey Campbell and Bailey Cole, and it was always a thing. So people would be like, Bailey Cole? I'm like, never heard of her. And that was the thing. That was, it's character building for my kid. Anyway, he's raced obviously a bit. He's won a couple times, and he's done a few things. My daughter is 18, and last year I basically had the talk of, I'm sorry I haven't been the best dad, because I've been traveling. You guys, I mean, you have to realize I lived in a Hampton Inn. You know what it's like. You live here. Your family's back there, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm traveling half the year. I'm not the greatest dad in the world, and it's not like I make up with it with anything like extravagant riches, because I never had that either. But I went to my daughter. I'm like, I've met people, and I'm able to do some cool things. So I can probably make you live the perfect life you want to live for 1 week. What do you want to do in the entire world? I want to go to an F1 race.
Sick.
I'm like, so
That's awesome.
The CEO of our company lives in Montreal. I took her to the Montreal Formula One race. We got to hang out with his family and see Montreal from that perspective, and she got to see thing. And then I saw when you watch your daughter, it's your daughter or son?
Daughter.
So when you watch your daughter turn into and I don't mean this in a bad way, that when she becomes a woman in a confident way, when she's standing up taller and doing the things that way,
it's rewarding.
that's rad.
Yeah.
And I watched my daughter stand up. My daughter wouldn't talk. She wasn't out she's not an extrovert, right? So she's kind of shy. And I watched her stand up. We rode on a boat to our seats in Montreal. We did it the right way. It was cool.
Nice.
And we're riding on this boat. There's like 10 guys there, and my daughter starts talking to these random dudes from Denmark. And all of a sudden, the guys are running to the back of the boat. This woman says, "You're the founder of King of the Hammers." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
That's awesome.
And my daughter's up there beaming and happy, and she doesn't like the dirt so much. She wants to be an accountant. She wants to understand those things. She loves auto racing, and she is enthralled by Formula One.
That's great.
So anyway, sorry to.
No, you're fine. You're not interrupting at all. Center.
You know, my daughter, I had her around it like totally all the time, and she didn't really pick it up. But it's not from a lack of trying. So, but she's been out in the woods many times, camping. And
She has an appreciation for it.
My mom told me, he said, Morgan got engaged. I was like, oh my. So I texted her. I was like, don't do it. She's like, Dad, can't you say congratulations?
You'll understand one day.
Yeah.
I just had my first. He's 9 months last week. And like, you know, I get it. All the things my dad said to me and all the crap that I dealt with for 18 years living at home. I'm like, kind of makes sense now. So it's a quick one. I know you've got young ones, right?
Yeah. So I have a 5-year-old and an almost 4-year-old.
Yeah.
So they're 14 months apart.
Yeah, we're in the same. Yeah, I get that.
Enjoy all of it. It is rad.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got his little plastic Jeep walker thing, and he just sits there every morning, just honking the horn at us. I'm like, just let me make coffee and I'll play with you. Like, give me a minute. But yeah, our joke going around the shop, because most of the guys at the shop have little ones and whatnot. We're gonna not force them, but try and get them into it and make sure they blow all their money on cars and trucks and Jeeps and whatnot, so they don't have any money for drugs and getting themselves in trouble. Yeah. So got to pay all those speeding tickets.
Well, it's an important mission right there, brother.
Yeah. It's I always joke my first job was to pay my car insurance because I had speeding tickets before my 18th birthday, and my parents were like, "Get a job, pay for your own car insurance."
I got pulled over for speeding 2 years before I had my license.
Yeah.
That was a problem in New Jersey. Sorry, I'm saying that quiet.
Where?
I believe the microphone's still picking it up, right?
Where in New Jersey are you from?
I went to Pennsauken High School.
Okay. I grew up in Monmouth County.
All right, up north.
In Alpin, yep.
Yep.
I got a 908 area code still.
Yeah, but you're still a Giants fan.
No, I'm actually a Bills fan. It's a weird story, but
well, you know what? That just means you're like more like you're on the spectrum.
Yeah. Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah, I mean, yeah, probably, but not for that reason.
I can't make fun of Bills fans, man. They lose.
We get it.
They lose more than we do. Yeah. We suck at. I mean, my team's Philly. Will always be Philly.
Okay.
I'm just used to monumental breakdowns and losses and just accepting it.
Did you guys have jug handles in
Jersey? Oh yeah,
you got to make a right to go left.
You still do right now. What are you talking about? We used to have circles back when the land was free. Back when land was, you could be a man. You could drive around circles. They took all the circles away from us there now.
I've lived in Virginia now 11 years, so like I've gotten used to the left turn thing. But it's still like there are days where I'm just cruising along and I know I got to make left and I'm in the middle or the right lane. And I'm like, it did happen today,
That's
actually.
funny.
Yeah, in the city, and it's just like
jug handles.
They make perfect sense. I've tried to explain to my wife 1,000 times. We go to visit my parents, and she's like, "No, it's over there." And I'm like, "Yeah, we got to go up and come around." And she's like, "This doesn't make any sense." I was like, "No, it's great. We don't have to wait and make a left. There's no traffic backed up into the highway. You get off the highway, you sit at the light, and you cross the highway. It's not that hard."
Yeah, I bet you there's less intersection accidents.
I was gonna say,
There's
Phenomenally less.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not staring in my mirror when I'm waiting to make a left. Traffic get rear-ended.
Like driving the Route 130 in South Jersey is like driving the Autobahn because you're like walled in like you're driving in Monaco, right? Just 3 lanes, potholes, and no left-hand turns. There's no place, and there's buildings like to the edge, and then the other side of the edge is the water, so there's no place to go, right?
Yeah.
So you know that you're good to go. There's about 1.5 miles, 3 miles of Route 130 in Pennsauken that is.
Sounds cool.
Game on.
Yeah,
Sounds cool.
Yeah, it's my wife had the realization. When
You can't agree with those things. So.
Sorry, I retract that statement.
Yeah. No, you guys are the exact opposite in New Jersey and West Virginia. You could not get more different. But my wife made the comparison to NASCAR one day. We were sitting in traffic, bumper to bumper, left and right, nowhere to go. She's like, "Man, this traffic's terrible." I'm like, "We're doing 85. I don't know what you're talking about." And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah. Everybody's doing 85. Like, welcome to New Jersey. Why do you think I love coming home?"
Dude, on the way here on 81, I got walked in, listening to people running like 90.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we're running 90, I guess.
I hit the border, like I get on that New Jersey Turnpike, and it's a free-for-all.
This is the perfect thing. This is a perfect segue, or at least the last thing, whatever we're going to talk about. But so we've talked about vehicles all day. We've talked about right to repair and all the things, but then I guarantee I'm the only person that drove here in an EV car. and I drove here in a Lightning because I have a Ford Lightning.
Oh, okay. Does that count?
It counts,
It's not a
except
car.
that. But let's talk about something for a second. It's not, and it's fast and it's
Sure.
fun, and I want to put live valve shocks on a Raptor and make it feel, it feel like a not a Raptor on the Lightning and make it feel like a Mercedes because
Sure.
it handles pretty well already, but it's just stock sled.
They're independent rear, right?
Independent rear, yeah.
Yeah.
You just could put live valve shocks on it and it would be super rad. So when I drove that car, though, you can't drive 75. If you drive 75 miles an hour, you can't get where you're going.
Right.
So you have to drive 70. You have to drive 65. You have to drive 55. It's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know how to, I'm trying to make sense of the whole thing. Like I get it. I don't want people doing 130 miles an hour on the road either, but you can't touch the gas. If you touch the gas and do anything non-conforming, you won't get to where you're going.
Right. You run out of battery.
Designed transportation, you have to do exactly how we want you to do it, or you can't get there. You can't even decide, I'm going to turn off to the right and go get ice cream today.
Yeah.
I'm going to go over here and see my aunt. No, you're doing 85 miles today.
Yikes.
And your life says that you have to do 82. And you're going to do those 82 miles, and you're going to do them at 50 miles an hour.
Yep.
And you're going to be back in time to plug in.
Yeah.
That's a weird. I've only had it for 3 weeks, and it's like I already feel like so completely different, restrained of the freedom of. I mean, I'm used to getting up. I'm gonna drive to Vegas today, and I'm gonna go this way instead of that way.
Yeah.
And it's gonna take me an extra 2.5 hours, but I want to go on that adventure today.
Yeah, you can't do that.
That doesn't exist. It's non-existent. You literally make that non-existent for people, and especially when there's. I mean, I live in California most of the time. We talked about Jersey, but I live in California most of the time, and there's no infrastructure there for most of the EV shit. And when I say shit, I'm sorry.
I'll edit it out.
No, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the thing that's going to solve the shit.
I've made the same argument for years.
It's
now.
not the end game.
Yeah.
It's better than a 318 Hemi from my 72 Dodge Dart, my first car. It's a better motor than that.
Yeah.
Right? It's more economical and more efficient than that. But it's not the end game.
Yep.
And I don't know. I'm sorry.
No.
I probably should stop. But I've been really like the whole concept of right to repair. I didn't even know that existed till today.
Yeah.
Me. I didn't know that existed as a concept. Right?
I just had that conversation with a customer this morning.
So the concept to me that we're going to make it so this is just the way it is, you stop becoming humans at some point.
Well, as an example, John Deere has been doing it for years. John Deere, you cannot touch a John Deere at all if you're not a John Deere dealer.
Yeah.
You are legal. Not. I think it's legally. I think you're legally not allowed to work on your own John Deere tractor.
Okay, so let me ask you a question, sincerely. This is the thing. This is where I'm a huge. We're gonna have 3 more hours in here.
Perfect.
I'm a huge I feel pretty bummed about the concept that we're playing like woe is me. Like I can't make my own bit. I can't figure out how to outfool an OEM CAN bus system. Yeah, I can do that. If I can do that, then anyone can do that, right? But if we're making laws that say I can't touch something. Then at what point do you say I'm just not going to buy your car? When do you just I'm not going to buy your car?
Yep.
I'm just not going to. I will buy a different vehicle. Why would a farmer buy a John Deere then? Sincerely,
I've wondered the same thing.
Stop. Just don't buy John Deere anymore. Then go buy an International Harvester. They still make. I'm not a farmer, I would assume they still exist. There's got to be something besides John Deere.
Massey Ferguson.
And so, I mean, this is probably going to confirm that I'll never have John Deere as a sponsor, but okay. Whatever. The reality of it is that if you can't, man, people, the only thing people still find entertainment in doing anymore is actually engaging in doing the things.
Yep.
And if you're engaging in doing the things, part of that is figuring out a different way or your way to do the things, whatever they are. Canoeing or rafting or butterfly watching, whatever the thing is that you have. I got a more comfortable chair today, Agnes. This is my thing. Good for you. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And everybody has their thing, right? So why make it so conformist? Why have to get there? Why? I mean, I don't know.
Taking the human element out of it, then
it's headlines.
It's not.
Right?
It's not an appliance. A car is not an appliance.
That's
a car is not
so
an appliance.
lost.
It's not a fucking washing machine.
Yeah.
it's an expression of your soul.
You know, Tom just said,
It's also where I spend 4 hours of my day, and I don't have to work for anybody else.
Right.
Right? I don't have to work for anybody else at all, and I still spend 4 hours in a car. If it's my car and it's where I'm going to spend 4 hours of my day, why do I have to spend it in your jail cell?
Yeah.
Right.
I want to look at it like this way. I want it to feel this way. I want it to be a 73 Dodge.
Yep.
I want it to be my 67 Camaro RSSS with a Tremec 6-speed that I put in myself. I didn't put it in myself. I hung it myself. And then I realized I didn't know how to set a clutch still after all these years. Even after owning all those Toyotas,
so
I never
finicky.
I gave up on the clutch.
Yeah.
So I need to be realistic about that. But it's just why.
I'm with you. I mean, I think I'll blame our generation because our generation wants the latest and greatest thing over and over and over again. We've been conditioned to get the new cell phone every year, get the new computer every couple of years, whatever it is. And cars have become technology, right? What's the next latest and greatest, coolest thing we can do? And right now it's EVs. 5 years from now, who knows what it's going to be? It's not sustainable. I mean,
no, but I can tell you from when I'm looking from the data perspective.
Yeah.
And this is I'm not a tinfoil hat guy. The reality of the amount of data that's collected on you by driving that car.
Yep.
They're never going to give that up.
Yeah. It's too valuable to them, right?
I'm sorry. When I say they, I'm speaking to legislators. I'm speaking to the government. I'm speaking.
Oh, it's not all of them.
It's power. It's money. But it's actually money. It's not even the government. The government's along for the ride because, I mean, that's the stuff I've seen in 18 years is mind-boggling to me from like understanding. Like I didn't know this shit. I didn't know where I was coming from. I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm just stubborn enough to keep going. And the stuff that happens and the stuff that you see is remarkable.
It is.
And it's not the legislators. It's not. I mean, I've been fortunate to meet a lot of people that help govern our country, and most of them are actually like a lot like you that are just like real people. I got involved in this because of this. It was my passion. I'm here, and now I'm just trying to make the best of this, and it's fucked up.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm doing the best I can, and I'm trying to make a better day every day.
Yep.
That's which is really all you can hope from any human, right?
Yep.
You expect more from the people that you elect just because that's your unlucky fortune in life, and the reality is that.
It just takes a few people to mess all that up, though, and then it's hard to reverse once it gets set.
Yes. Yeah. And then once you feel do you have any idea how much value is in the data that's collected from your car?
Too much.
They're not going to. It's like. It's like saying they're not like their social media is going to stop.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Well, it's
because that's how
all marketing.
They understand it's value. It's content driven. It's a thing.
Yep.
Right. So you have to. I mean, at some point, we have to make our own decision. Okay, I just won't buy new cars then.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to buy
That's
them.
what I think.
I made that decision a couple years ago. Like we have a new car for my wife. She loves it. It's her third car ever in her entire life. I've had like 15 cars since we've been together, and it's like I drove my 2008 Honda Civic here. It's got 200 and something thousand miles on it. Like I don't care. It works great. It starts every morning. Gets 35 miles to the gallon.
So the thing I can't track on, and this is where I really should stop talking, is I know that the OEMs they find value in the aftermarket, right? Mm-hmm. They do. I watched Jeep go from there is no aftermarket, we don't care, to holy shit, we should have an aftermarket. Let's call it Mopar Performance.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was around for road stuff, but it became, Mopar Performance got rejuvenated solely about Jeep inner fender wheels.
Yep.
Right? So when the Bronco came out, like I was reinvigorated by the fact they made that car be modular.
Yeah.
I can take off the fenders. I can take off this. I can make it my own.
Yep.
If we're tracking a different direction, I mean the reason why trucks are cool is because it's the last thing you can still update.
Yep.
Like if I bought a 2024 Camaro right now, what can I do to that?
Wheels, tires.
Cut the mufflers off.
Only if I get some.
Maybe. In West Virginia, you can. We still have tailpipe tests.
Is this the longest podcast in the history of the podcast?
Not even close. We did 2 hours with Eric Miller like a month ago.
Well,
so
you know what?
Eric can talk for a while.
So for the Camaro, the best thing you can do for it is 5.3 LS swap it. Truck motor.
Yeah.
Put a truck motor.
Oh,
in
you
it.
could go 6.0. do a little LQ9 action. You're good to go.
Senator, do you ever swap anything cool? Do any cool engine swaps?
Nothing radical. But
Really?
I got the
we
project.
just talked about your nitrous Monte Carlo.
Well, and two, I'm getting.
I don't think you were here for that yet.
There was nothing that came stock with nitrous, sir. Nowhere. So no matter what, that's the most radical upgrade.
When I say swap, I'm talking about like radical engine swaps. But my Mercedes big block tunnel ram 4-door sounds pretty
He wants
cool.
to build a drift car with a big block. A big block Mercedes drift car.
I know where we can get a diesel Mercedes.
Big block.
No, big block Chevy.
454.
Oh, I just said
Zoomies,
Mercedes.
drift
454 tunnel ram.
Okay.
Think Freiburger.
I've got a 71 Camaro split bumper RS that I'm currently LS swapping, and I would love to bring it to a drift Appalachia at some point.
That sounds cool.
But I don't know how to drift.
That would be
Also,
a better
I don't have
Hillclimb
enough
car.
money to finish the LS.
Two little
We're not
spots.
monetizing the podcast yet.
That's the common story across.
Yeah.
Like I'm there.
It's the
I'm
car,
almost
it's the car
to the
guy
start line.
curse. Yeah.
I just got my head bolts came in the mail yesterday,
And now you're broke.
and my oil pump came in the mail yesterday. Yeah, now I'm broken.
We're
Wait a
doing.
minute, aren't you the one that was sitting here saying I don't have kids?
Oh, correct. Yeah.
You're out of
I've got an
excuses, sir.
off-road hobby and a podcast.
I have 2 Jeep projects, run a small business, and have a kid, and I'm still finding a way to finish my projects.
And neither one of us are hungry.
Well, I'm a little hungry.
I'm hungry now because I've been sitting. I came up to say I don't know what I came up here for, but I came to give you this whiskey to drink.
Yeah, that's pretty much that sums up the podcast.
No cool swaps?
I came here to give him that whiskey.
Not engine swaps, no. Have had lots of cool projects, but I usually do direct.
So, of your cool projects, what is your absolute favorite, and which one do you regret selling?
I've sold so many.
That's a good question.
That's a tough one. And when someone, a lot of people say, "How many cars do you have?" I usually answer, "That run."
That's fair.
He's got my vote.
But
You don't live in West Virginia.
Dang it.
I've always loved Chevelles. When I was a senior in high school, I found a 71 454 4-speed Chevelle, 1989. And I took it all apart. Didn't do a frame off, but had the engine out, transmission out, doors off, hoods off, front clip, everything sandblasted, restored it, and put it back all original. And I still have that car. My daughter's middle name is Chevelle, and it was the first car she ever rode in.
Why didn't you just lead with that? We can stop talking about shit.
Drove to high school. It was red primer, in high school. So
The old red oxide.
Luckily, I hung on to it. When I got it restored in like '91, a guy offered me $10,000 for it, and I was like, my gosh, and it was so hard to turn down back then.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm glad I did, and I'll never sell it because I'd never be stupid enough to replace it by going and paying $35 for one. So
For a rusty one.
yeah. Yeah.
But
You know what? I wanted to, don't forget to mention the Royal Sonesta here in Washington,
yes,
D.C.
Yeah.
that provided us this nice little room that has a nice view of Massachusetts Avenue. And
do
we
it
could be
on
telling,
20 seconds notice.
Yeah.
we should tell people that we're on the 15th floor
We're-
overlooking the Capitol.
This is Vista View, sir. Vista View.
I can see the Washington Monument from here. Yeah. It's I think this is the most time I was here for the DC Auto Show in January, which was the first time I had been in the district in, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years. And it's like, it's always a weird, I don't want to say weird. It's always like, there's a vibe in here. Like, I always have to remember like what's going on 30 miles from my house. Like,
It's always a pleasure to be in DC, but you also always hate coming to DC.
Yeah.
Like, I only
Especially
come to
if you
DC for sports games. Like, if the Caps are playing, the Nats are playing, I don't watch the Redskins play anymore.
Yeah,
I don't watch football, but
Yeah. And
Do they actually play in Washington?
the Caps and
the Caps and Nats do. The Redskins play in Maryland.
Yeah.
Or the
Maryland.
Commanders.
Commanders. Yeah.
Commanders. Sorry, Commanders. I don't follow football.
But yeah, it's this event. Like I kick myself because we could have planned this a lot better.
Oh,
I got the email from SEMA like 2 weeks ago that the event was going on and moving the shop, everything else. I was like, whatever, I'll deal with this later. And then he calls me yesterday. He's like, "You gonna do podcasts in DC tomorrow night?" I'm like, I guess so. And just the fact that you guys are taking the time to do it is awesome.
amazing.
So
Thanks for having us.
really
My
appreciate
wife's
it.
downstairs and is about probably
You can hop off anytime you want.
Didn't need reasons to kill me.
But yeah, I mean, this is we were talking about it earlier with Tom, and it is a important thing that this stuff goes on, because like we can't be forgotten. And like what you were talking about with the OEs and everything else, it's a real thing, right? I make my living on individualizing those vehicles for people who want it that don't have the means to do it. Mm-hmm. You know, you make your living on people attending those events and having fun and going out and doing everything. And you know, it is a huge industry. I mean, I can't remember what the current number from SEMA is, but it's like 100 billion something, isn't it?
He's got it right there.
You guys probably talked about it this morning.
There's a B. There's a B involved.
I know there's a B, and if I remember correctly, it's up there.
I can tell you
$336.91 billion.
Yep.
$400 billion.
Yep. And we're
in today's money.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I
am 0.00001% of it, but it pays my mortgage. So
that's a lot of money.
It is. It's ridiculous.
No, I mean you're 0.00001%
there's probably
of
a couple
it.
more zeros there. I'm not that good at that.
So King, I'll give you some. So we'll give you some reference.
Yep.
California did a economic impact study of King of the Hammers 2 years ago. So it's dated by 2 events, not 2 years, a year and a half.
Okay.
$39.4 million in 10 days. $3 million of direct taxation.
Yep.
$2 million to the county, $1 million to the state.
Yep.
Great work.
I mean, it's real. It's real, and that's.
And it doesn't cost anybody. Well, it doesn't cost the state anything, right? Like, I mean,
it doesn't. It doesn't. No, it doesn't.
Because you handle the infrastructure in Johnson Valley. You handle.
We pay the state. We pay the county.
Right. You're paying them, and
we're $1 million into infrastructure into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's costing you money. It's not costing taxpayers money.
Yeah, we've never even taken a line of credit. We don't have a line of, we've never, it's what you eat what you kill. I mean, we go and we hope we make it through the other side of it. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah. So Senator and Dave, as we wrap up, what are the things that you guys see from the top that us little guys out that just to recreate, what can we do to make a difference every day to help make a difference?
I want to go first. Get to know who your legislators are in your district. And when you have an issue, you let them know about it. You know, I had a little business, my family business that I grew up in, and when a state vehicle would pull in with state tags, we were like ducking for cover. We were like, oh gosh, what are they going to make us do now? Yeah. And they'd tell us this new regulation we had to do. And I didn't know I had a voice until I became a senator. And if you feel you're getting treated unjustly, let them know about it. Also, fight. You can be a basic lobbyist. You go to your capital, and when you have an issue, you find your legislator, both House, Senate, state. Contact your federal legislators when there's a problem federally going on. Voice your opinion. And the more time you have, and the more time you can invest getting your word out, telling your friends, going as a pack. When I have the Motorsports Day and the Adventure Travel Day, I'm doing that to just bring awareness, and so some of my fellow legislators will realize how important this is. So that's my advice, is just get to know. So one reason these legislators find you important is you vote. Your family votes. They want your vote. And besides, they'll just try to do the right thing to take care of a problem. So that's
So I get the SEMA emails that say, hey, sign this, put your name on it, and we'll send it to your representative. How many of those do you actually see, or are they seen by people that work for you?
Yeah, which I'm always for everything that SEMA is for, so it's always a no-brainer for me. But, staff members see it, and, the more phone calls, the more emails, the more in-person visits, just like anything else. The more you do of it, the more chances you have of getting your statement heard.
Yeah.
The squeaky wheel does get the grease.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you brought up the SEMA Action Network. Like, I get the emails, same thing locally. You can set the settings for your state that you live in, state that you want. Like, I've got West Virginia, and Pennsylvania to get the alerts. And I send them off. They sort it out federally. They give you the form letter, and I mean, our local federal district I guess senator, congresswoman. I don't know. I can't keep track of it all. I always get back a negative email like, oh, explaining what she votes for and how it doesn't line up with what SEMA wants and everything else. I still send it every time, because it's at some point. I hope it gets to a point where I
actually find far more value in engaging the people that don't believe in what you believe in.
Yeah,
true. Yeah. It's harder. It's rough, but you keep doing that, man.
It's the educational side of it,
and
right?
find a way to engage in a conversation about it, not just an email.
Yep.
Find some way.
Sure,
there's a way.
Sure, yeah, it's a great point.
Before we get off this subject, I challenge everyone listening to Google who your state representative is and who your state senator is. Save their email, save their phone number to your phone, and when you see something come up, email them, call them.
Respectfully.
Yeah, exactly.
Worded.
If you want someone to understand your situation, make it in words that they want to hear.
Yep.
And make it words that you can listen to.
Absolutely. Use tact, because you get more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
Yep.
And also find out who your congressional which congressional district you live in. I'm not going to ask you guys in here. Jed may know.
37th California.
Good job.
J. Oberly.
Awesome. Good job.
Yep.
So anyway,
I know who it is. I don't know what the number is.
Okay. So anyway, I'm done. Thanks, guys.
Dave, what can we do to help?
So
because California is a tough place to be in.
Pretty crazy. I'm glad you went first, sir. And then and also it's not I completely agree with everything you're saying, because I've lived it. I can attest to it. I can attest that if you make even if you don't have anything, if you make a effective case and do your things, you'll get to where you need to be, right? So I completely agree with that. What I would have said, when I started my career at GE, so there's like 2 up and 2 down. Mine's 2 down. Mine is when you see someone on the trail that doesn't know as much as you do, teach them, foster them, help them understand what it means to litter, to not take care of your junk, to go off the trail that's not a trail, man.
Yeah.
It's okay. It might be awesome, but that's not the place we can drive here.
Yeah.
Don't make a trail.
Don't make a trail. If you make trails, you make no trails.
Yep.
That's what happens. That's what happens. I know that we are incredibly fortunate. Everybody talks about the hammers. Well, it's the thing the hammers has, and no one gets this. When the Marines were going to take it in 2010, they divested all the value of everything, all the turtles, all the petroglyphs, all the stuff, so the Marines could have it. When they did that, we snuck in. It's an OHV area. We don't have to worry about any of those things, right? We didn't really sneak in. They were going to take it back away from us, but the reality of it is that area, I can drive it anywhere I want to.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want to do that, come to the hammers. There's a few places on the planet left that you can just drive anywhere you want to.
Yep.
Every place else, respect.
Well, and
understand what the situation you have, the opportunity you have, because that opportunity doesn't exist everywhere, and it's fleeting.
Well, and being a good steward was really on display this year at Hammers with the King of the Canners. The bad lines guys, they did a great job with that.
Tread lightly did a cleanup,
every
right?
year they do a good job with it.
Yeah, tread lightly is absolutely, and it's interesting for me seeing. I mean, you know the people that are doing that side, right? So it's kind of a different place for me. But I remember tread lightly from when I was a kid, right? Almost back to the Indian with the tear, don't litter kind of thing. That was a commercial. It was before all 3 of you even know what I'm talking about.
I've seen it.
You have. You're still younger than me, I think, sir. But I mean, tread lightly has made an impact that way that is transcend it's getting across.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I would say. I would say that when you see people on the trail, help them become better stewards. Stewards is the right word.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
And then that way we continue to have the ability to go forward. Right. And there's more stuff out there, and then we can turn and be able to talk to gentlemen like Mr. Maynard. And
great advice.
So that's all I got, and I appreciate you guys.
We'll go around the table with this one. This is one I haven't done this in a while.
I was going to actually do this earlier, so we're on the same page. Yeah.
We'll go around. We'll start with Jed. What's y'all's dirt drive? So that's the name of the show. He can take my mic. Well, what's y'all's dirt drive? What keeps you out on the trails? What keeps you in love with off-road and motorsports?
So I would have to say that my dirt drive is for my mental health. it's pure therapy. Getting out there and being among nature, getting out there and just turning my Jeep off and sitting there in complete silence, because I don't get that a lot. In my job, not that I'm complaining about my job, but I do a lot of talk on the phone, a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, text messages, Facebook messages, Zoom calls, Google calls, and and everyone here at this table probably can relate to that. But just going out there and simply existing with nature, and just taking a deep breath and being like, man, this is what life is all about right here.
Yeah. And the occasional rev limiter.
Every now and then, that's good too. Some days I go out there and I want to go thrash on my Jeep and do the rev limiter thing. And then some days I just want to go out there and crawl around in first and second gear, I recently just bought a dual sport motorcycle for my 30th birthday, and I've been enjoying that a lot too. 2 wheels of freedom, I call it. And it's just mental health, I think, for me. Yeah.
That's a great question, and I really can't explain it. It was ingrained in me as a kid. I love it. It's just, of course, you get the fun of having skill when you're traversing an obstacle and you take a better line or something, you get approved, but it all really makes very little sense, when it comes right down to it. Just like when I was working on that Nitro Funny car. That is the craziest thing ever. But we all do it. Not all of us, but it's just it's that warm and fuzzy feeling, and it's therapeutic, like Jed said. But it's a good question. It's really hard to explain why we do it.
Yeah, go into the woods and just drive in circles with your friends. It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. But it's to prove something can be done, and that we can do it, and we're blessed to be able to work on our rigs and do this stuff.
Yeah, I have a. In my cubicle in my office, I work a lame desk job for a local government. I have a map of the IMAT and the infamous.
Shout out to Brian Holmes, Dr. Brian Holmes.
Yeah, shout out to Brian Holmes. That's hanging in my cube, and every time someone walks by, I end up having a conversation about my love for off-road, and it's pretty fun. Dave, what's your dirt drive?
The two different sides. You just brought up the excelling or the getting someplace. I still to this day I love breaking new trails with the hammers, doing stuff that's just not supposed to be done. Like stuff that's like no one's ever done that before. I've driven past that for 30 years and I've never thought about driving up that, and he did that. Right? I like that. I like the test of an endurance race off-road relative to road racing. I've road raced successfully but at a fun level, not at a real level. I like the endurance aspect and the gravity. Listen to you talk, the word was authenticity. When I listen to you talk, the word's authentic, sir. You're an authentic human being. No one could fake this. I've been around you for 6 hours today, and at no point.
Just the accent.
At no point. That's a different adage, but you're authentic, and I appreciate that. And you find that off road, and so. The big picture, what I was going to say, and I'm sorry I gave you a long answer again. I named my ranch the Crimple Factory. No, like but you heard cripple, didn't you?
Crimple. No, I heard crimple.
Do you know what a crimple is?
Yeah, it's a wrinkled fender.
Nope.
No. All right, that's where I went.
A crimple's when you smile so much your dimples cramp up.
Okay.
We make them there. Yeah.
Permagrins. I like
permagrins. Yeah, permagrins. Yeah.
I've got that going right now. My face hurts so much from smiling right now.
So, I mean, I like watching what I get out of everything right now. My whole life is revolved around off-road right now. I mean, that's literally what I do, right? And my favorite thing still, the passion that makes me do it is I love watching new people experience something they didn't think existed.
Yep.
And you can do that with someone that's been. I could take all of you guys and make you experience things that you never thought existed, and you've all been doing this your whole lives, right? That's what's different about off-road relative to any other way to motorize recreate. You don't know what's around the next curve because there isn't a next curve. You get to choose where the next curve is at.
And there's so much to explore. It's almost never ending. And
it's whether you're exploring a new sunset, a mine, seeing animals you hadn't seen, or what you're exploring is your own limits.
Yep.
What are you capable of doing? What do you want to do?
Yep.
There's not a lot of humans that are good with. So check this out. Here's what you do. Here's your coordinates. Your house is out there.
Yep.
Figure it out. If you don't get there, you're not going to sleep there tonight. You're going to sleep someplace else.
Yep. But that's okay that you sleep someplace else because it's all part of the adventure.
And the reality is, there's not a lot of places in the world that you can even give that much freedom to somebody, right? Because usually it's you can pick at the door at the end of the left or the right, right?
We're looking at that.
and what I'm talking about is like you can, you're show up. We'll give you your trailer's out there someplace. We'll park it for you.
Yeah.
And we'll give you it's like the ultimate escape room.
Treasure hunt.
That's a good idea for an event.
The ultimate escape room is just to show up and find your place to sleep. And if you don't, bummer. That's called Survivor.
So Tim and I both have volunteer fire department backgrounds, and one of the earliest drills we do with people is you take your air pack, you blindfold the recruit, and you go and you stash the air pack somewhere, and you set off it's called the pass alarm. It's the down firefighter alarm, and you have to crawl around an open space blindfolded, just following that noise to find it. And the idea is you have to familiarize yourself with your surroundings. You have to go out there and learn it. And like, I think that idea of drop a vehicle off, hide the trailer, so like here are the coordinates, good luck. That's a great event. First person back to their trailer wins. Like that could be a fun Backroads event right there. Just everybody starts in a random place. I'm not trying to steal your idea or anything, Dave, but I'm just maybe we'll do it. Maybe that'll be a fun weekend trip.
Maybe we all do that.
Yeah.
TV show now.
Trailer sounds a bit bougie.
We'll call it June. How about we call it June?
June works.
Like all right.
Well, like a month.
Yeah. It's like
I'll see if I can get off work.
Same. I'll have to call my boss.
All right. I appreciate you guys. I can't thank you guys enough. I just looked into this. I texted Jed yesterday. Asked him. I'm like, hey, I know you're in DC. On your way home, stop by the house. Come grab a beer because I live 15 minutes off the highway. Yeah. He's like, how about you come to DC and record a podcast? This would have never happened.
Well done, Jed.
Like I give Jed props all the time. I love this man to death. This wouldn't have happened without him.
Yep.
Please, if you're listening, go follow Backroads of Appalachia. They're doing. I said it right this time.
You did.
Backroads of Appalachia. They're doing amazing things for West Virginia, just like Senator Maynard. I keep saying Maynard.
Well, that's the fancy way to say it.
It's the NASCAR. It's the NASCAR way.
You bougie. You know what debauchery is? Debauchery is? Debauchery is when you get so far past debauchery that you just become bougie.
I like it.
Also very common in the city.
Debauchery, yes.
I don't know what else to say. I got crimple. My cheeks hurt. I'm so ecstatic to be here.
Yep.
I look forward to coming and seeing you guys in Virginia. I'm very looking forward to coming seeing you in West Virginia.
Absolutely.
And it's great talking to you guys. I mean,
yes, sir.
The one thing you talked about accents earlier. The one thing I've learned, I've off-roaded around the world. And the one thing I found is, and I've actually told this story, I got to say it in front of you now. The one thing I've learned is everybody's the same with a different accent. Oh. And West Virginia is the worst one to understand. Actually, I go with Kentucky most of the time, but
that's true. That's true.
But no, everybody, the people. If you decide to do this, if this is what you like, if the challenges that presents and the opportunities that present, there's a certain character that accepts that and wants that, and there's certain characters that don't. And if you end up at the end of something that's hard, whether it's in the Gobi Desert, or it's in Johnson Valley, or if it's in the Alcan 5000, or if it's in Colombia, or Portugal, or Croatia. Literally, I've wheeled all of those places, and in the end, I find some dude going,
That's awesome.
You know, and you have the same conversations, and it's not ideological, it's not anything political or anything else. It's just, are you authentic? Because if you're not authentic, that's what I love off-road about.
Yeah, and we're all good people.
It weeds out the fake. It weeds out. You can't fake what it takes to get to the end. There's no way to buy that, right? You can't. No matter what, you can buy really expensive machines, but if your goal's far enough out there, there's no way to fake that. And when the people that are at the other end of that end up being the people that you really like being around.
Yep.
And
I'm happiest when I'm around guys like you.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Same.
Cheers.
So one more time, I want to give a big shout out to the Royal Sonesta Hotel here in Washington, D.C. on Mass Ave. If if you guys are looking for a cool place to stay, come stay here. We're very thankful for them to allow us to come up here in this meeting room and record this podcast. Thank you to Dave. Thank you to Senator Maynard.
Yep.
It's an honor to have two legends and Tom here prior.
Yep.
3 legends of the motorsports community.
Z-Man.
The Z-Man.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And thank you, Jed, for helping put it all together.
Sure.
It's
my pleasure.
Last minute, it's been a blast getting to know Senator Maynard a little bit, meeting Dave Cole. It's been quite the evening, to say the least. So thank you guys for taking the time to do the podcast with us and share the stories and everything else. And our followers know where to find us, dirtnerdsoffroad.com. And I don't know. I feel like there's really nothing else to say at this point.
I don't know the two of y'all that well, Senator and Dave, but to the 4 other guys, to all y'all in this room, I love you to death. If you guys ever need anything, seriously, no, I've said it. I'm not gonna preach my I love you thing, but y'all are awesome. Y'all just keep doing your thing. This is why we're here. I appreciate you.
That's why we're here too.
To the listeners, we love you too, Senator. One more.
Well,
thing.
I want to say. In our 4-wheel drive club in the 70s, we all had CBs. And when we would part ways of when the trail ride was over, the CB code for bye or see you later was 3s. Everybody'd say 3s. And you maybe could Google that, maybe not. So I want to tell everybody 3s.
3s. I like that.
I honestly had not heard that before.
Yeah. Well,
I know the click. Like if you agree with somebody, what they say, you don't say copy or I agree, or you don't talk, just click.
Oh, you just key up.
I didn't know that.
So
it's a new one.
Yeah,
that's all new for me.
Yeah, just click.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you for doing this, because this goes back to the both directions. Like his peers hear this, right?
Yep.
There's other people outside our sport hear this, and the people that are actively engaged are listening. And this is how you talk to all sides of it. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you all.
Thank you guys.